Halo Infinite's campaign cut content makes me sad when thinking about it. But was it just me, or did Halo Infinite deliver on so many levels, but also really undeliver on a lot of other things? I mean, dating back to the reveal trailer we got in 2018, it seems like this was a completely different game to what we had delivered in 2021. Now, understandably, the pandemic resulted in the entirety of 343 working from home, and trying to build a game from the ground up from home cannot be easy. And as a result of this, it caused almost 2/3 of the campaign to be cut from the finished product of the game. At times, development of Halo Infinite was branded as hellish, and from looking at some of the concepts drawn up when the game was going through its design, development and idea stage, this game probably should have been much more than what we know. But in today's video, I want to take a bit of time and dive into some Halo Infinite campaign cut content. This is spanning mostly from the campaign level design, enemies, and different types of wildlife and scenery we maybe should have seen in the finished product, but never did because of overall development complications or 343's own ambition to make the best Halo game possible, and time just ran out. Another video will follow on from this one detailing different weapons, vehicles, and other multiplayer content which was also cut from the game, and also some different things that were cut from the campaign which are less significant than what we talk about in this video. So let me know in the comments down below if you want to see that in a follow-up video. But if you guys do go on to enjoy this video, it'd be very much appreciated if you can go on to drop a like to see more content on Halo Infinite coming every other day, and make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications turned on as well to be notified when a video does go live. And also the link to the Discord will be in the description down below for you to go and join and check it out if you want to as well. But before we get into the video, is this the Spirit of Fire in the background of this bit of concept art? Because it looks a lot like the Spirit of Fire, and if that is the case, the mid-credit cutscene that was actually removed from the game could be the Spirit of Fire that they're looking at. Let me know in the comments down below, but I just want to put this at the very start of the video so everyone can see. This looks a lot like the Spirit of Fire. Woo! Okay, on to the video. Let's be realistic when we talk about 343's previous two entries into the Halo franchise. Halo 4, with it not being terrible, but did boast a wide range of bullshit when it comes to gameplay, and some of its missions being extremely linear and just not Halo-like. And then there's Halo 5. I'm not even going to comment on the campaign of this game. I think the terms lackluster and underwhelming probably suit the game quite well, but the Halo community could not play another game like Halo 5 for 5 or 6 years' time, or having anywhere near as much of a jarring storyline. 343 couldn't make the same mistakes again, and so with Infinite they pulled out all the stops and made, in my opinion, one of the best Halo games in the series. So well done 343, you did absolutely smash it. An open world Halo game with endless amounts of possibilities when exploring the ring, new characters which actually have some life and personality, and side missions which keep you playing and going back to the campaign and making the replay value a lot better, and elongate the length of the overall campaign as well. Not to mention the ability to utilize any vehicle, weapon that you want within the sandbox at any given time, and essentially go wherever you want on the ring whenever you want. Missions can be completed in your own time, and there are plenty of collectibles to be found around the ring. Not to mention the mysterious ancient rings dotted around the map, which we don't really know what their significance is just yet, but very interesting nevertheless. Zeta Halo has a lot of mysteries, not just in Infinite, but also in previous books and terminal lore from previous games. It wouldn't have been the right decision for 343 to throw all of their eggs into one basket with Infinite and give away every secret of Zeta Halo. Some might say that in Infinite they've caused more speculation and mystery than before the game had even released, and there was already a lot of that before. Halo Infinite has its fair share of cliffhangers and what the fuck moments, and it doesn't do a very good job of explaining this within the base game storyline. There are so many questions around Atriox, Cortana, the Endless, the Flood, the Ancient Rings, the Harbinger, the Forerunners, and many more that we just have no clue about. Halo has always done a very good job at being cryptic, and a lot of the in-game dialogue does give away a lot of very subtle hints around additional clues as to what's to come next. But what if I told you that Halo Infinite's campaign was supposed to be longer? Like, much longer. With 2/3 of the campaign being cut, this game probably should have gone from 8 hours to maybe 16 or 17 hours, including all of the side missions and everything like that. Which, to be honest, for a 10-year game, might not have left a sour taste in many people's mouths. For me, the best way to describe Halo Infinite is a million steps forward, relating to gameplays, characters, overall feel of the story compared to Halo 4 and Halo 5, but then also like a million steps back due to the cut content, the multitude of cliffhangers, and many key parts of Halo in previous games not really present in this one. Imagine fighting a scarab on Zeta Halo and having it crash land and its carcass remain in the same place for you to drive around it or explore at any time. Why are the scarabs not in Halo Infinite? Are they being kept for DLC? I mean, they probably are, but why are they not in the base game? Also, the off-screen deaths of two main characters, Cortana and Atriox, so it seemed at the time. And then there's also only coming face to face with Escharum at the very end of the game. Why was that the case? Why did we not meet him earlier or come across him earlier? Like, there are different things like this which, again, could be down to time, and I presume that a lot of it would be. But that's my biggest problem with this game. For me, the main issue with Halo Infinite, and this was even mentioned by Joseph Staten in an interview that was around 6 or 7 months ago from now, is that this is a live service game. The campaign and multiplayer is live service, not just the multiplayer. The campaign is also being classified as live service, and I feel like this is where a lot of people are getting confused or are forgetting that this is the case. This means that the content will be fed to us over a period of time to keep that game fresh for longer periods. This is why the campaign has so many questions or unanswered points, because they're leaving a lot of it for DLC and again to bring you back into the game so that those questions can be answered. Take Destiny, for example. They have one main story arc or push of content to essentially lay out the contents of the following year. So maybe Infinite will do the same thing, where every 3 months we'll get some form of additional storyline where we can have different objectives, collect different things, do different bits like this, or whether it'll be every 1 year or maybe even every 9 months or so. We have a campaign drop where it's a couple of hours long that we can go in and then re-explore Zeta Halo with the new storyline. Again, I don't know how it's going to work, but interesting points. Let me know in the comments down below how you think the DLC is going to work, and as soon as I know, I'll bring the content to the channel. The portions cut from the game would have just been additional parts of the game which the team want to use as DLC. The full game including DLC could be finished right now, we just don't know at this point. But I do presume that a 16 to 17 hour Halo game in a huge open world including different parts of the ring we can explore would be absolutely amazing, and maybe that's what it was meant to be. And again, the additional 8 hours has been cut up and segmented into different DLC drops, and maybe they'll be yearly, maybe they'll be every 6 months, maybe they'll be every 2 years. Again, we don't know at this point, but I do hope they're fairly frequent to not make the game stale and have people forget about the campaign, because it really is good and it does deserve as much traction as possible. But having this long campaign open world including different parts of the ring that can be explored, it might actually become a reality, and let's talk about it. So I want to discuss and go over some of the cut content in Halo Infinite. Now, I want to preface out there right now that the majority of these are concepts, but concepts do turn into actual in-game mechanics, different in-game scenery and different in-game graphics and things like that. So a lot of these concepts were shown to us within the teaser trailer in 2018, and also a lot of them were prefaced and shown in the background of Zeta Halo that we can see at the moment, and in general a lot of these were probably implemented into the game at some point and maybe reverted and cut for DLC content. Now, before we go into this again, I want to preface and make sure that you guys do go into this with an open mind. A lot of the content, almost 2/3 of the campaign's content, was cut, so a lot of these concepts may not be in the game currently, or a lot of the different scenery around the ring might not be in the game currently, but you've got to remember that we're only on a very small part of Zeta Halo at the moment. We've still got an entire 360 view of the ring that we haven't explored yet, so a lot of these other parts or other concepts could be on different parts of the ring. You've got to remember that the part that we're on has essentially been completely almost destroyed, so maybe the rebuild of this part of the ring has caused a lot of these different things or structures to not be there yet, and that could be an explanation as to why they're not there at the moment and why DLC will bring these different things. So go into it with an open mind, but let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing we can see is biomes. There are biomes all over Zeta Halo on some of these concepts. We have the plains biomes with loads of trees, wildlife going through them, sentinels flying through the air as well. We have the grassy biomes as well. We also have more water and foresty biomes too, which we don't really see much of in the game. And this looks so cool. Waterfalls, we have a couple of those, but nothing really significant. And just general fauna structures that we can see, which maybe we can't access at the moment, just giving us that mystery of what they could have been. And a lot of these are present on the ring at the moment, which we don't really know the reasoning for them, and maybe they could be for DLC, maybe not. Again, we don't know at this point, but a lot of these concepts do involve sentinels, which is very, very interesting as well, and I presume that's to do with the repairing of the ring. The setting of Infinite, a war-torn Zeta Halo occupied by the Banished, is perfect for creating an immersive and dynamic world full of life, and yet is devoid of any and or all of it. These concepts represent a much deeper world that we didn't get in the final product. From different species of wildlife to adaptable and ever-changing weather, biomes which encourage different gameplay strategies, and banished vehicles or species that were not in the game. And one of those, the scarab, as we spoke about earlier. This concept looks so cool. There's multiple scarabs going through Zeta Halo in more sort of like a gloomy, snowy biome, with the banished sort of putting their arms in the air, happy that they're here. A banished scarab would be absolutely amazing. I really hope stuff like this comes in DLC. The open world aspect of the game had so much potential and still does have so much potential, but currently it feels like the framework for something much more enticing. All these concepts show that what could have been and what was cut to create the game we ended up with. And adding on to this point, in Halo 3 there were multiple times during the campaign where you would encounter a certain, not cutscene, but it was an event which happened in game which you could rather skip or you could watch the entire way through. These things could come from a brute holding a marine in his hands, and if you don't act quick enough, he would kill you, or even at the end of the campaign, or even in some cases at the end of the first campaign mission, Johnson and a brute chieftain. If you had a sniper rifle, you could take the brute out before he hit Johnson. If not, you could watch the entire way through and see Johnson be imprisoned whilst you have to go and save him. These things would look and suit Halo Infinite so well, and going off one of the concepts that were in game that you probably see on screen right now, there are a load of marines hiding behind a tree trunk that has fell down, with in front of them banished forces escorting marine prisoners to a camp of some sort. Now this would be a really cool encounter to be able to improve and implement some stealth mechanics. You can take a shot at the brutes, but they could kill the marines, or you could silently take them out by punching them or using a suppressed weapon if there are any in the game at the time. Stuff like this and adding stealth mechanics would make everything so much better and give you a reason to want to play the game in a certain way and give you endless outcomes of different possibilities. Let me know your think down below of this, but for me this was a really underrated thing in Halo 3 that's never really returned in game, and I would have loved to have seen something like this back in Infinite. In no means am I saying that the game's bad in any way. Halo Infinite is probably my favourite Halo game to date. I love the storytelling and the exploratory freedom that you have in this game, but the lack of explanation for many of the decisions was pretty saddening, to be honest, and left a lot of cliffhangers and sour tastes in people's mouths. And makes me sad to think what could have been if 343 had had more time, and I think it would have been an absolute masterpiece. I really do feel for some of the developers that had their visions diminished by necessary cuts or the nature of the pandemic and working from home. Time is at the essence, of course, and if you do go past that deadline, and to cut as much out of the game as possible. The promise of future expansions for this world has the potential to deliver on the original world that they'd planned out on and envisioned. And if it's anything like these concepts, wow, I really cannot wait to see where they go with this. I really hope we do get to see some of the ideas materialized as 343 adds more, and to be honest, I really do think that we will. I think the DLC for this game is going to be very good. I really hope that it's done in a way that's not going to leave us always feeling like we don't understand what's going on. I think the base campaign did a good job at setting the tone, understanding where we are at the moment, the new faction they're introducing, the Endless, but there are a lot of questions and things that we had to do a lot of digging around, and nothing was really told to us directly. We had to go off and do our own investigation and analysis to try and figure out exactly what was going on. And in some ways that's good because it keeps an open mind and an open story, but at the same time it leaves you feeling a bit underwhelmed, like you don't really know what's going on. So I do hope the DLC does clear a lot of that up, and I hope that we don't always go down that same road. But adding to this point further, as I mentioned earlier, I actually think that DLC 1 is complete or very close to being finished at this very moment in time, and the teams are working on further expansions currently. You've got to remember that this campaign was going through the polishing phase almost 4 to 5 months before release. The DLC content would have probably been in production by then too, so I do think that these concepts are actually teasing what's to come. I did a video a couple of weeks back around an initial campaign reveal trailer, and a few frames from one of the missions within that were not in the game. And this was the one with Chief with the 3 red dots in his visor. A lot of people think this may be mendicant or offensive bias, and in one of the concepts in the book that was given to in the special edition, one of the concepts are very similar, if not identical, to this scene. This is what makes me think. I actually think that Halo Infinite's concept art is teasing and pointing us towards some of the content coming to Halo Infinite. Of course, not giving away mission or DLC theme details, but overall landscapes, wildlife scenes, and parts of the DLC missions, I think that it's teasing us in some way and showing us what's to come. Now, you've got to take into consideration as well that some of it might not see the light of day. After all, this is just concept art. But this really does give us an insight into 343's creative ambition with Halo Infinite. It wasn't because they didn't want to or because they were lacking on the job. It's because their own creative ambition prevented the game from being what it could have been. I don't think anyone in the community can deny the hard work that went into making this game. Just the sheer polish of the game was absolutely incredible. Compared to the likes of Battlefield 2042, Vanguard and Cyberpunk, this game was a 10 out of 10 in polish compared to them, which was probably more of a 5 or a 6 out of 10, or in Battlefield and Cyberpunk's case, probably a 2 or a 3. The story wasn't ruined by crashes or things which ruined people's experiences. I mean, it was seamless for me anyway. But the point is, if I'm crashing every 5 minutes whilst playing a game, the story is going to be interrupted. I might have missed something, or something might not have worked correctly for me. But in this instance, I've got to say, I had no issues with this game, and for me, that's what made the story so engaging. But guys, what do you think of some of the cut content / concept art from Halo Infinite? For me, this was a lot of it that we've shown in the video, in the background as well, when talking about it. There's a lot, and in the very start of the video, a lot of the Spirit of Fire. So again, maybe that's coming in DLC, we don't know, but that concept art really does show. And if you guys do have access to this and you can go and check it out in some of the books, there's loads of these pictures online that go into detail about it as well. I would really highly recommend studying this art and just looking in the background of it and seeing if there's anything that stands out, or if there's anything that you can see that could be an indication of new things to come to Halo Infinite. Now, we have a lot of the Sentinels and a lot of those RTs in this game, and we do see Sentinels in the game, but the 3 red lights in the visor, and we can see the concept art of this as well. So is that offensive bias? Is it mendicant bias in a new shell? What do we think, guys? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd be very, very interested to hear your thoughts and theories. Doesn't matter how crazy they are, put them in the comments. We'll share our crazy theories here. It's anything that we can get our hands on to speculate about what they could be, so make sure you leave them down below. I always love and find it really interesting to look at this type of stuff and to think about what could have been if 343 just had more time to fulfill their ambitions to make the greatest Halo game of all time. And to be fair, similar to Halo 2 with its hellish production, they still did a damn good job with it. And with the introduction of Joseph Staten, this game might have had some huge changes made to it when he joined the studio. And could you imagine if he'd never joined? What would the state of Infinite be like then? It could have been completely different to what we've seen right now. So yeah, it's something also to think about as well. So Joe, you are the man. Thank you. We don't know what Joe changed yet, or if he did change anything, but I can imagine he had a pretty good say on what was in the game and what wasn't. So interesting point to put there as well. But guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts and put your theories down there. Halo Infinite could have and probably should have been much more than what it was. From a world which looks so promising, mysterious, and ever adapting and changing in the teasers, I don't think that the same ethos was delivered in the final product. But do I think that this will come in DLC when we can explore different parts of the ring, and potentially this is where the wildlife and the different terrains and biomes come into place? Absolutely. And do I think a lot of the cut content will make its way back into the game? 110%. I do believe it will. Drop a like, guys, if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're brand new. Make sure to turn notifications on and check out the Discord and the link in the description as well. Be much appreciated for more Halo content coming pretty much every other day or every single day, whichever one we feel like doing. If there's a topic to discuss, we'll discuss it. But guys, speak soon. Take care. We'll see you later.